So we're going to pick up where we left off with Product Zomboid. I know it was a very late start for me to be switching over to Product Zomboid, but we were just finishing episode 2 of The Long Dark and all that stuff. Have you seen the TV and radios reinvented? No, because I actually literally don't look for mods. Like, basically, I almost have gotten to the point of making a command when someone says mod and just be like, yeah, I don't know about it, or like, don't care, or whatever. And to be fair, I actually do run mods on my game, but they're all UI and that kind of stuff. I don't, like, if it changes literally anything about the gameplay, most of the time, the answer is I'm not interested. I very much prefer to have games as the developers release it. I do have, on like RimWorld, for example, I do run some mods on top of that, but most of those are challenge mods, and it's not to say I've never run more mods. Like, I've done the Cryogenic Winter, I've done the Toxic Fog, but like both of those mods are interesting for me for like a week, and then you solve the problem, and then they stop being interesting. And like Cryogenic Winter is an interesting mod, but just after a while you're like tired of seeing the color white everywhere. Okay, so let's see here. So we are hungry, and I do not have food on me. We are tense because we had a nightmare, so don't worry, we're not infected or anything like that. That was a lot of frame rate stutters. But yeah, so what we were working on the last time, for those who missed out, we did get our cows brought over here. I'm going to go over there and make sure they're still in the area because they keep wandering off. I need to finish walling this off. Yes, they're all there. I need to finish walling this off, which means sitting here and cutting down a bunch of trees. And I've been not doing that. Generally, I usually do that when it's like severe thunderstorm rolling in, blizzard rolling in. I'll just do a day of like base building or whatever. So you usually don't make much progress very quickly. Or also, as these trees and bushes grow in, I will take the time to chop down the trees and bushes to, you know, clear the area. The bushes I've been ignoring, but the trees. But it is kind of one of those things, because I need to build that wall all the way over and around. It's just going to be tons of logs. We did get blacksmithy started. I haven't gotten much done because I'm waiting on a crucible. Okay, so can you eat that berry? So I haven't gotten much done the blacksmithy because we need to get ourselves a crucible. Which is going to be doing the pottery, which I need another nail prep. Is this area your base? Yes. We are using the resort as our base. So I got this, so we'll wait to see if that's poisonous. But yeah, so it's just foraging real fast to grab ourselves some berries or whatever. And we got another batch right here, so that's perfect. That should be enough food for us. Yeah, so dropped off those. I got spare weapons. How much did that cost you? About 6,000 to 8,000 zombie kills. It was a lot of kills to get in here. That said, for those who haven't been paying attention to what we've got going on, my intention when I finish with this location, I'm like, I want to move on to like pushing the next spot. I'm gonna be going right for the military base. We're gonna go ahead and skip all of the middle encounters. We're gonna speed run this and go right for the boss of the game. Alright, so let's drop these in. I don't really care where they go because I need to clean up all of this. Nope, and the branches will just drop on the ground. Okay. I also notice if we're getting thirsty, that means my bag's empty, which means I need to go, well, my little leather whatever thing is. Water dispenser. Let's see, the first few weeks of Build 42, you completely avoided anyone using mods. Just like DayZ, you prefer vanilla, but week 1 really sold you. You really like the literal game changer to Pazway? Yeah, no, I'm aware of what it is. Like, the thing you gotta keep in mind is the NPCs in it are real jank. Like, and you get it, they're bolted on top of a game that doesn't really have NPCs built into it. to give the NPCs proper AI is a very, very massive undertaking. Oh, when is the next helicopter? We're on the 18th. Okay, so it's only been 6 days. But, like, the NPCs are real jank. Like, half the time I see people playing, the NPCs just walk up a building and go. Because they don't know what to do. And it is kind of one of those things. It's a fun, silly, you're gonna have like a throwaway run kind of thing, but that's just not what I want. Yeah, PvP is jank like that. Yeah, no, exactly. And I'm glad that people are enjoying it. Like, don't let me yuck your yum or whatever. But it is just one of those things that I looked at as like, oh, that's a cool gimmick. And then kind of moved on. Like, just, yeah, it's just not something that interests me. It's cool that you like it. You gotta keep in mind that part of Project Zomboid I enjoy is I like the slow progression, the build-up. There's a reason I play on 16 times pop, sweaty, try-hard settings. Is because I do want to try and make the early game of it just kind of drag out as long as possible. Because it is one of those things to me that very much... The best part of Project Zomboid is right when I hit start, and I want to make that last as long as I can. And it's not very fulfilling to me if I keep basically pressing start and doing it. Would you turn around already? Like, it's not very satisfying to just have, you know, a bunch of roguelite runs where you just kind of, like, do the thing, you blast her weak, then the nuke drops and all that. And I know there's more stuff you could do into it and all that. But, like, to me it is a very arcadey mod. And I think that's a good thing. I think it's good that it exists. We don't have a lot of arcadey content in Project Zomboid. Most of the content is far more long-term. But that's also the type of content I think Project Zomboid thrives on, is that slow burn buildup. So it's basically kind of the opposite of the type of content I'm looking to play. And I've gone on to say a number of times that personally for me, I literally, like, it would be a huge disappointment for me if we got NPCs in Project Zomboid. They're just like, this NPC, what are they? Hostile. What do they do? Murder. How do they do it? They just do. Like, that would be me turning off NPCs. Because I've played plenty of games with that, and to me, that's boring and lazy NPCs. And I understand people like that, but, like, I very much enjoy State of Decay. The building you just pull up and people start offloading their guns, I'm like, this isn't fun, this isn't interesting. Let's see, you'll just have to hope the devs see the potential of having the possibility to work with Slayer, part of the game. I very much... The week 1 mod, as like any of that being implemented as a core game, would be something that to me would ruin Project Zomboid. Like, that's not saying there's anything wrong with the mod. That's not what I want the game to be. Like, I've mentioned a number of times that the NPC update is the update that I worry about the most. Because it has the most potential to, like, really ruin what I personally really love about the game and make it into something I really don't want the game to be. Like, I like the game being, you don't rebuild a society or cure the virus or any of these things. I like the game being a thing that you don't have to, like, grind rep or currency or trade or something to, you know, be able to walk to someone and be like, join me! And this kind of stuff. Those games are fine. They exist. Go play them if you want that. Let me have my game that isn't that. Project Zomboid being unique and different and not having special infected, what makes it special for me. It's not just, hey, every other game has copied this idea, and we're gonna do it too. What if you had different story modes? I don't know what you mean for that with RimWorld, because you have your storytellers, but that just is how it manages threats and all that. And then you got your difficulty settings. No, it's fine. It's fine if you're bored with Product Zomboid. It's okay to be bored of a game. That doesn't mean it needs to make itself into a different game. Let's see. You guys over to... Yeah, so it's like one of those things that very much... Well, how you win? Well, there's no win condition. Like, that to me is part of the magic of Product Zomboid. Is that it isn't a game you win. There isn't you cure the disease, you do that. Like, there literally is not a win condition. There's just a lose condition. The win condition is what the player makes. That's why it's a sandbox. Oh, those berries... Oh, right, I had 2 different stacks of berries. That's right. I was like, wait a second, I ate that many berries, we're only now getting poisoned? Right, I had 2 different stacks. Let's see, why not have multiple modes? Lone Survivor, where you're the last living person in the infected zone. You gotta keep in mind that type of implementation, like making a whole separate game mode now that has like different rules and outcomes and all that, would be a massive undertaking for the game devs. They would also have to adjust the balance based on the different play modes and your objectives and all that. It's not that that couldn't be done. To me, though, that's mod territory. I don't think splitting Product Zomboid into multiple separate slices, as you would be a good move at this phase. No win condition is why you like the long, dark survival mode as well? Yeah. Well, I think the genuine thing there is where you're talking about, you know, 10 years, you know, you're bored of just kill zombie and all that. It's like, you know what? That's just, you're bored of the game. That's okay. It's okay to be bored of a game after 10 years. 10 years is a hell of a long run to be playing a game, to only now be getting bored. Like, no game is meant to be played forever. Just do stages? I mean, we do have the challenge maps. But for me, again, my comment on that is just make it a mod. Like, that's... People already do that. There are mods where you go through and you bring the water back online, you bring the power back online. You make the zombie cure, like, you don't make the zombie cure, there are zombie cures. There's even mods where you escape the map. Like, there are mods that do all those things. Those things exist. You can go play them literally right now. Like, right now, you can just go grab the mod and you can have that experience. But the mods fought a thing with the game and ruin saves? I mean, yeah. People already complaining about the speed that Product Zomboid gets developed. Imagine taking on that wherever they make a change, that now they also have to go, okay, well, we made the change. All right, well, the survival mode of the game is going to have the change. Okay, well, now we need to turn around and we need to do the save the world mode and get the change. And we also need to turn around and do the community builder mode and do the change. Oh, and you can just forget about multiplayer. It's never coming because we're gonna be busy doing all this garbage. Like, I get the idea. If you want to build up community, there's this game called State of Decay 2. It's excellent. Check it out. I highly recommend it. It's really good. If you want to do a whole bunch of like trade stuff where you build up and, you know, faction and all that, have lots of customization and all those kind of things, that game's cool. That's 7 Days to Die. I actually don't like 7 Days to Die, for the record, but you know, that game does exist. If you want the story about where you have to come up with the cure and dealing with the relationships between us, well, there's this game called Last of Us. It's a really good game. You should check it out. If you want an arcadey game where you just run around slapping zombies and not having to worry about stamina and all that, there's a game called Left 4 Dead 2. Also, really good game. You can check that out. If you want a very heavy story-driven game that has lots of choices and very little focus on the combat, there's a game called The Walking Dead by Telltale. It's a really good game. You should check that out. That's my point. These games all exist. And yes, they're not in the Product Zomboid engine and all that. But those games, those archetypes are out there. Product Zomboid is a unique game. when you look at the games out there for like zombie apocalypse games, how many games do you have out there where it's just like, this is the zombie apocalypse, everything's jacked, there's no unjacking it. Like, you're literally doomed from the moment you start, and your thing is to basically bitterly fight back against it for as long as you possibly can. Left 4 Dead franchise? Yeah, but its multiplayer modes are like the, didn't they have like a survival mode that's just like a wave-based thing? They've got the main story, and then they have the, verses. And I believe that was it. And you had more difficulty settings. But what you're talking about is entirely different functional tiers, like having like a very, very different experience. Like if we're going through and we're trying to, you know, find a cure for the virus and all that, now we have to have mission objectives, and you have to have different sources and all that. You know, if you want to have it more than like skin deep, I mean. Like that is a major overhaul to do it in a way that isn't just pretty empty. Like, it's cool that you want and all that, but let me put it this way. We have a roadmap, and that roadmap goes out to build, was it 47 or something like that now? That roadmap is going to take somewhere in the area of like 6 to 7 years to probably get just what's already on the roadmap. Taking that on is probably tacking a good 3-4 years onto their roadmap. And any future changes will be slower because now they'll have to factor that in. Now, as a one-off, you could do a one-off challenge map like they've got, where it's just you grab the MacGuffin, and you walk up there and you grab the thing, and you win. Like, you could do that, or like grab the thing and come back, like that kind of a thing. But people wouldn't play that mode more than like once or twice, just to be like, ah, cool, I did the thing. Because like, if you consider we have the challenge maps out there already, you've got the accumulator. People play that on occasion, very genuinely. Gets like 0 maintenance, but you know, people do pop on the accumulator on the rare occasion. You've got the one where I believe it was the zombies become sprinters at nights, the movie lot. No, like every once in a very, very, very long time, someone will pop in, and then usually like, wow, this feels awful because it's very out of date compared to the rest of the game, and so they don't do that. You've got the winter is coming. Almost all the challenge maps, people will pop in, they'll do it like once and go, oh, okay, and then they kind of won't come back to it. Like, just the sandbox has so much more to offer. But yeah, no, that to me totally lands in mod territory. I also just having, with my experience being around the devs, that falls way outside what they're aiming for the game. So it can be a thing that you want and wish for, but it just doesn't align with what they're aiming the game to be. Like, the only thing that I'm worried about is I could see them going a little bit into the community building side of things on it, and I worry that will become the focus, which will kind of force you to engage with the NPCs and do a whole bunch of stuff. That's my fear, is that, you know, by having that functionality in the game, it effectively makes it forced gameplay to deal with the NPCs. And I don't think it will get there, but that's, you know, that's the worry for me. Because I don't think we need a cure, but imagine walking into a town with an NPC or two, clearing the streets, erecting defensive walls, and slowly turning it into a safe haven that people could safely live inside while the zombie apocalypse rages outside. Yeah, the problem is that's just not what Project Zomboid is. Like, the literal intro to the game is, it was the end of days, there was no hope of survival, this is how you died. Like, restoring society is just not the tone of the game. And it's fine if you want that. Like I said, there's mods out there. But that's just not the story of Project Zomboid. Like, that is a completely different story. So if you want that, you are going to be dealing with mods. It's like we get asked all the time, being like, they should add special infected. They should add special infected. Special infected is literally on their will never add list. Now, I don't believe they've ever said, you know, I don't believe they've ever gone out and said they will never do community building. They haven't gone that hard on it. But I don't believe that's the direction they're moving with it. Alright. Let's check out this house. Like, it's cool that people want the community building thing. And like I said, there's room for mods to do that. And I do understand you can run into a situation where people build around build 41, let's say. And then build 42 drops and they got to update their mods. But, you know, the person who was maintaining the mod fell out of interest for it, doesn't want to update it, or just, you know, the mod is very complicated, it's just going to take a long time. That does happen. Like, I'm not going to say it doesn't. That's actually one of the problems we've run into a lot in Product Zomboid, is people make these big sweeping mods, and then after playing the game for a couple of thousand hours or whatever, they're just kind of burnt out on it, and the mods get abandoned. Like, when was the last time Hydrocraft was updated? Did they ever get that to build 41? Because that was a big mod back in the build 40 days, if I remember correctly. And I think they technically got it working with build 41, but like there was so much stuff that was buggy and broken with it. Just because the person behind it, I just don't believe wanted to work on it anymore. I mean, that's just unfortunately reality, is when you want something that's not aligned with what the devs want or whatever. Because you got to play in that world. So, like, there are mods also to add special infected. Let's see, as long as safe as you make it, they would still be able to die. You just do your best to prevent that. Yeah. Just like... Yeah, I know I played in SS. I don't remember it well enough. You really built up? Built up what? This isn't my base. We're clearing stuff out still. You know, I know I played some SS, and I remember having a relatively good time with it. Gotcha. One thing to keep in mind is the better we make the NPCs, the more computationally heavy they're going to be. And part of the thing that makes Product Zomboid what it is because it's skipped on a lot of that. Like, a lot of, you know, making a bunch of variety of NPCs and all that, like variety of zombies. They've been able to lean in and be like, but what if there was an S-ton of them? And that your computer doesn't buckle over and die in 2 seconds when you do that? But they can only do that because the zombies are dumb as a box of rocks. They basically walk straight at you and ever so slightly deviate from straight at you, and that's pretty much their intelligence. Is basic pathfinding. And when I say basic, there's a heck of a lot happening underneath the hood, to be clear. It's actually pretty slick stuff where they do their pathfinding, the zombies share a lot of the computation and all that. But the moment we start getting something that's got any level of additional intelligence on it, now every individual NPC starts to become a decent computational load. That's another worry. In other words, the devs of Zombie RuneScape know what they want? Yes. Cool, you broke an upstairs window for some reason. Why? I don't like there's this little hallway right there, which is the reason I'm being slow about popping in this place. And I wish you in the back would aggro and get over here. Alright, we're just breaching. Because I know there's at least a couple upstairs. Oh, you're already dead, my bad. I am not a developer for Product Zomboid, but I am a well-known person in the Product Zomboid community. I used to hold a world record in the game and everything, and I've, communicated with the devs a lot in the past and such and such. As such, I am on the internal test group. But no, I'm not a dev. I'm a dev, I'm not a dev for Product Zomboid. Thank you for the follow. Welcome to the stream. That said, before anyone asks, I have no idea when build 42.3 is coming out to everybody. They don't tell me. This isn't me trying to be like, I'm gonna keep it a secret. Ha ha ha. It's literally, we've been... Like, that kind of stuff, they wouldn't have us tell you anyways or whatever. But we're not, like, forbidden from saying it. It's just like, yeah, we don't get that information. Like, genuinely, when build 42 dropped, a lot of us were like, wait, it's dropping? Because... it just caught a lot of us by surprise. It was not... We were not expecting it to be dropped nearly as soon as it did. Get ourselves some more goodies. Jar of fresh potatoes. Pour the soup on the ground. Probably don't need those, but I'm still gonna take them. Claw hammer. Okay, so it looks like the rest of the party is upstairs. I do hear there's at least 1 or 2 zombies banging on doors up there. Interesting that those two got straight. Alright, so we'll start with this room. Not for a specific reason, all the doors are closed. What is on your bed? A trophy. I'm taking that, it's mine. I earned it. Does the Product Zomboid devs like to pick random streeters to play beta in front of everyone? Well, it's not only that. So there are content creators, both streamers and people who do edited content, that got a hold of it. There are people who are also very active in the Product Zomboid community and all that, like on their forums and everything, that also got in there. So it's not purely a streamer thing. Like, honestly, at first, we didn't even have the permission to stream it at first. It wasn't until later that we got permission to stream it. They just wanted people they know who play the game a lot and all that kind of stuff. I think those replace the pills that we used dealing with the sleep we had from our nightmare. Yeah. Well, no, that's part of the thing is, so sarcasm doesn't come across. For the record, if you're trying to be, like, sarcastic, one of the things you do is you use kappa. That's basically saying, hey, like, I'm cracking a joke here, I'm not serious. Or you do, like, the /s or... Ooh, wait, was one of those an actual newspaper? I believe that's the one we haven't read yet. Alright, 1 second. We might have some more lore happening in here. Let's see. Kentucky Herald. Illness outbreak in Muldrow. Exhibition draws crowd at the gallery. Artist's work very popular in Louisville. Louisville, Kentucky. The Art Gallery of Louisville's new exhibition of paintings by Irish artist Aisling Dwyer drew large crowds Monday night. Dwyer, winner of the 1992 Su Shong Prize, unveiled a pair of new paintings, Pink Curtain and Yellow, Yellow, Yellow. Both drew immediate applause and acclaim for their use of bold color, deeply emotive abstract patterns, and expert use of modern art techniques. Dwyer is part of a new wave of Irish artists making big waves internationally. Her works can be seen. Her works include Chromatic Accident and Live Action Piece. 48 saucepans. An ambulance at the house of the Muldrow area believed to be related to the outbreak. Body identified as local attorney. President cancels G7 Tokyo trip. Dozens of cases reported in area. Response hampered by telephone outages. Muldrow, Kentucky. Dozens of cases of flu-like illness have been reported in the area of Muldrow, a small town just north of Fort Knox, with symptoms including severe nausea and fever. With multiple military installations and toxic waste dumps in the area, doctors are looking at whether a chemical leak into the water supply or food chain may be responsible, though calls from outside authorities for assistance are reportedly being met with obfuscation and denials. The U.S. Army has reportedly opened its quarantine facilities in its hospital in Fort Knox for use by... Okay, so it's very similar to one of the other ones. We did learn that there are multiple different newspaper groups that you can get the letters from. So there is a lot of overlap with one of the other ones we read, which isn't surprising. I can fill the trophy with water. That's wonderful. Let's see. Oh man, you have a guy in your server. His goal for the last 4 servers was to see the art gallery in Louisville. Oh yeah, it's a fun, silly thing to do. Let's see. You're 45. You're addicted to Yahoo right now. Yahoo right chat in the 90s. Sorry, you was addicted. My apologies. I was like, how are you addicted to something? Is it still running? Was addicted to Yahoo right chat in the 90s. You use what you know as far as text communication goes. Some get it, some don't. You like to watch the world burn as to figure out what it means. Well, if it is, like, the way I'll put it is, like, if it becomes kind of a nuisance problem, where it's like, it's very unclear what you're communicating a lot to the point it starts becoming properly annoying, then, you know, I'll be like, hey, like, actually label your crap. Because that could just be annoying to deal with. You remember the Ask Yahoo chat? Like, it's fine once in a while, like, don't worry, like, just meme it a little bit is okay. But, like, if someone is, like, regularly and routinely, deliberately making things just kind of distracting or whatever, there's certainly a point that you're like, okay, but no, this is just obnoxious. I'm also particularly known for going and, like, if people, like, one of the ones that'll happen is when people use abbreviations out of context kind of thing, I'll almost always be like, what's that mean? Or I'll deliberately and kind of, like, maliciously, people be like, when I'm playing something else, for example, and someone's like, oh yeah, PZ's a great game, like, you're right, Planet Zoo is a great game. You should definitely check out Planet Zoo. Or PoE. People out of context will mention PoE, and it'll be like, oh man, the Plains of Eidolon was very interesting. It's almost as good as Pillars of Eternia, or Eternity, or whatever it is. But yeah, so it's just one of those things. And that's an accessibility thing, being like, hey, when you use abbreviations, unless it's, like, painfully obvious in the circumstances. Like, obviously, if I'm playing Product Zomboid and someone says PZ, it's understood they're talking about Product Zomboid. Yep. Well, we sat down one night, and we were just saying, within the context of what could make sense to say on a channel, like, how many different abbreviations would work that are, like, actual PoE. And I think we got to, like, 11 or 12 different ones, and, like, 6 or 7 of them were games, like, actual games. Because remember, there's Path of Exile, there's Pillars of Eternity, there's Plains of Eidolon, there was, oh, man. For the not game ones, we had Power Over Ethernet was definitely one of them. There was another technology, I think it was a dev technology as well, that we came up with that was PoE as well. But yeah, two-letter abbreviations, just except there's going to be a billion things that match up with it. And even 3 you'll get a lot. Once you get to 4, usually you get to the point where, you know, you still have, like, do you know the abbreviation or not kind of problem. But, there's not as much risk of confusion because there's not that many things that match. Now, you still run into a little bit. Okay, so I know there's a zombie down there. This one's about to bust out this window. Cool. Could you not do that? Thank you. It's like office work. Did you mean EOD as end of day or enter on demand? Oh yeah. Oh, this is not a building I'm loving. Like with its weird floor plan, the windows don't actually give you much coverage. I honestly think this one, I normally don't like starting on this. Oh, I can't zigzag up on the floors. Oh, you're a big building. Okay, I think that's the next floor up. It's just like all glass bottles. Hopefully I didn't just corner myself because there's not even a window I can go out up here. I mean, granted, that'd be 2 stories down. If we go out that window, we're probably not returning. Could be another room inside room. There's a lot of books in that room, which is exciting. I'm not sure what this building is supposed to be. Because, like, it's got a lot of liquor stuff, but then it's got, like, offices. I'm really confused as what this building is. Other than a building that could absolutely use... Oh, you can't physically access that corner. We'll deal with that in a... Oh, you know what? We move all these books real fast over. Can I move the bookshelf real quick? There's another bookshelf in that corner. Yeah, it's like... I could see it being a lodge. I'll just put her chair in the bookshelf. Okay, it's literally just a notepad, so it wasn't worth my time. But I didn't know that until you started doing it. I also have not been watching the time. This is getting late, but we're already in this place. This whole place is like bottles of liquor. It's a weird place. I definitely am not a huge fan of it because this has some real bad line of sight issues so far as like, not like it's badly implemented or anything. It is just a very dangerous building in the sense it's real hard to get a good look around. There's just so many things obscuring your vision. Lots of room for making mistakes that'll get you killed. A basting brush. And we are starting to get more and more panicked because we're listening to a zombie banging on the door. Now, one thing I noticed is I can't shift from one side of the stair to the other. Okay. Next place. Got a kid's bedroom. Yeah, that's right. Definitely keep the darts in there for your toddler. Okay. Generation survived long darts? I mean, there was a pretty large number of people that didn't work out so well for them. Well, it's already really late. It's really dark. And unfortunately, these don't have blinds. I think this spot they won't be able to see in, which is fine. But there's also a difference between like lawn darts, and again, they had a crib. So they're keeping darts in with like, you know, literally like a 2-3-year-old kind of thing. I think your absolute favorite new thing in Build 42 is the grocery store bags filled with grocery store bags. Yeah, no, that's the only thing. You can't dodge Darwin forever. I mean, but there's a difference between, like, openly embracing it. Like, there's a difference between, like, actively doing something that puts you in incredible amounts of danger and, like, basically putting yourself in that. You miss the dice? I have... Oh, wait, actually, I don't have a bag of dice. It's fine. Another choking hazard? I mean, you're not wrong. To be fair, you're not wrong. At the same time, if we're talking about a little kid, like again, we're talking toddler, it definitely feels like between a dice and a thing that's got a sharp pointy end that is metal. We're splitting hairs and all that. Let's see, your 3-year-old could take out your 5-year-old from 50 yards. Oh, let's see, they had darts and dice. They had life insurance on them. Something about that. Hey, Penny, let's go ahead and get Penny Meowie a shout out real fast. Who is another fantastic content creator on the platform who would definitely recommend checking out. Also been playing Product Zomboid among other games. Definitely someone I would highly encourage you pop in and say hi to. Usually streams around the same time I start wrapping up to just a little bit after my stream most days. I actually don't know your schedule super well, Penny, and I'm sorry. But generally I know that Penny usually streams after me. So, really solid. Like, I actually don't know what days you take off. That's my loss. I don't know, like, if today's a normal day off for you or whatever. But yeah, but the point is, when I wrap up, you're like, man, I really want to find more Product Zomboid. Penny is one of the people you can find to go watch. So definitely go check out Penny. Very good times over there. I like to lurk there after my streams like, in that I'm done streaming, I'm not, like, because there's a thing after you stream, you can't just, like, pop in bed and fall asleep. You're kind of just too, I'm gonna say wound up. I don't mean in a bad way. Like, you're kind of in go mode, and you just need a little while to, like, get out of go mode for a little bit. Alright, so we're gonna consider that building looted. Let's see if we can get eyes on whatever the hut is on that little island. You don't really have a starting time set in stone? It could be anywhere between now and 3 hours from now. Depends on your sleep. I understand that. Makes sense. So what I'm hoping... Oh! That's way more than I thought it was going to be. Interesting. Unfortunately, I can verify there's no bridge over there. So if we do want to see what's on those islands, the only way we would end up being able to do that is, one, we cheat, which I don't do. Or two, I would need to go and... Can they drown? No, you physically can't go into water. It's impassable tile. It's effectively a brick wall. Yeah, exactly. I'd have to build a bridge. And I think it's 2 nails a floor piece? What was it? Carpentry, where was floor piece? Wooden floor. Oh, 1 nail, 1 plank. Yeah, so I'd probably need 30 or so tiles. So 30 nails, 30 planks or something like that, which isn't the biggest thing in the world, but it is a decent amount of effort for something that's probably not that interesting. Cool. And I'm going to try and pull both these cars into that driveway. This one I'm not sure of because the angle it's at. The Zen Cure is on the island. It'll never be found. The cost of entry was simply just too high. Alright, I did hear a zombie... Oh, well, sorry, not here. I did see a zombie coming around over here. I didn't see where it went. I'd be surprised if it didn't hear us backing up. It is the thing in Product Zomboid that weirdly, going in reverse makes your car way more horsepower and also way louder. But so you keep thinking it'd be cool if there was a cure, but you had to gather ingredients hidden in every city and access a super well-guarded lab. I believe there is a mod that does almost exactly what you've said. I don't believe it's, like, spread into every city, but I believe there's, like, a couple of the major points of interest that are really dangerous, is, I believe, where they're at. I'm just hitting the wrong button, don't mind me. Gonna save the world, but bridge is too much work. Yep. They should have thought about that before they required me to build a bridge. Who is the real problem here? The person who recognized the inefficiencies of building a bridge, or the person who demanded that I do it anyways? You make it that? Yeah, I haven't done the mods. I know there's a mod to escape the area. I know there's a mod, and this is build 41, by the way. I have no idea if they brought it forward to build 42. Alright, get over here. Let's do this. There you go. Just a hard day, I get it. It's not the door I want. Let's see. You've bridged those islands for a playthrough. The third island to the northeast of the cabin is a hunting stand too. It's fun play once a bridge is fence and access. Yeah. This is your journal. Things you would tell your grandchild. If it weren't for that bridge, that's just a journal. Let's see. After the week 1 mod, I hope they eventually add an official mode like that, where you start with the infection first outbreaks. I don't think you will see that. Like being... Oh, here. Sorry, that's my... I mentioned it because we literally just had this conversation just a minute ago. I don't think you're going to see that kind of thing. That's not what I wanted to do. Zombie kills. Show that again. Show daily kills. And hide the average kills there. Yeah, so we're on 5 months, 12 days. Well, it's basically 13 days because we're right about to flip over. But yeah, so it is one of those things that very genuinely, if you're looking for a bunch of like alternate kind of things like that, I don't think that's coming. Like right now with what we're talking about, we've got updates planned all the way out for like probably 6-7 years, and none of those are really based around new modes or stuff like that. Okay, so let's check. Is this the last house on this side? It is. So for this side, I don't want to drive the whole way around to it. I'm going to instead go up, over, and around this way. Because then we can hit these 3 buildings, hit that area, hit the little campground here, whatever that is. I think it's a campground, I don't know. And then what I can also do is after we clear it, I will just do a lap around that. I wonder how they'll eventually implement NPCs, maybe random encounters only. I hope not. My dream vision for the NPCs in this game to stay thematically in line with what Project Zomboid has been is I want it so there's like not any type of like formal rep or currency or trade or anything like that. You don't go do like your daily quest or any of that garbage. Like I would be very, very disappointed in that. I also don't want them to just run up and start trying to slap me with a crowbar or shoot me with a gun or anything, because the human versus human combat in Project Zomboid has always been not great, to grossly understate it. Like if you ever played PvP in Project Zomboid, it's pretty terrible. It can be fun for like roleplay kind of stuff, but for like actually like decent quality combat, it's bad. It's real bad. Either you have stunning turned on, and once you stun someone, you just basically chain stun them until they're dead. And even if you win, they usually have like so much to bandage, they're bleeding out everywhere. So you still kind of lose. Or you turn stunning off, and both people are just slapping each other as hard as they can. And like I said, it kind of ends up being a thing where even if you win the fight, you're usually just so messed up, it's not worth it. Yeah, gunshot from nowhere, bone fracture, dead. Yep, pretty much. It's just not well suited for PvP. And the NPC PvP, or the NPC combat, has a lot of the same jank. Where again, if they start shooting you, it's just the nature of how combat works in Project Zomboid. Really does not work well for that. Now, I'm not saying they shouldn't have it at all. My thought is it shouldn't be that you walk up to the person and they're flagged as hostile and they just murder you because here's the middle finger. they just apparently went completely homicidal because reasons, with like no player input. Because it's also very lazy in my opinion, and then also wouldn't really align with how people would likely be in a world where literally everything around you is trying to kill you, never sleeps, and never tires. You're not going to immediately go and find, hey, the one other person who's in the same circumstance as me, let me go murder them. But what I would like them to be is more like you'd be wandering around, you know, doing the thing you normally do in Product Zomboid. You're trying to find food, you're trying to find tools, and you might notice this lady, you know, coming out of the grocery store one day, and she's, you know, sneaking away from the zombies or whatever, and, you know, you see her, like, run to the north. Okay, it's like, alright, well, this is our person. And maybe you go in the next day and you find her at the hardware store, and she's looting the hardware store, and you go in there as well, and it can play out in a couple different ways. Not that it's all scripted, but, like, you know, she would have some hidden disposition to her that, like, you pop in there, you're an unknown, and she might be like, get the expletive out, I was here first, and then you kind of have the choice of you can do as she says, or you cannot do as she says. And then again, you don't know what her disposition is. Maybe if you ignore her after like 2 or 3 threats, she goes hostile against you. She might also... Ooh. Did I mention physics are wild? We were barely moving 10 miles per hour and we put this thing way up on 2 wheels. Be real careful driving at any speed on bodies. But, you know, she also might be like, you know, it's all a bluff. Like, you know, she'd be like, hey, get out or else, and you don't get out, and she just kind of goes, you're not worth it, and buggers off. But you don't know that. And you can certainly walk up and immediately start attacking her. But regardless, like, over time, if you haven't had problems with each other, you know, maybe in the future, she wouldn't threaten you. But at the same time, you're sitting there wandering around. Eventually you figure out she lives on the north end of town. She's got, like, this gas station. She's boarded up, those kind of things. And, you know, she's just the lady in yellow who's wandering around town. But behind the scenes in the AI, it would have motivations. And this is something that the devs did talk about, the motivation side of things. That you'd have, like, there's the lady and you're in Rosewood, and behind the scenes, the lady in Rosewood has, like, a husband or whatever who is working in Louisville, and so her objective mission or whatever for that character is she wants to prepare herself and then try to get to Louisville to, you know, figure out what happened to her husband or whatever. And so one day you go by and it's like, you know, I haven't seen the lady in yellow in a long time. What happened to her? And so you pop by the gas station and you know some of the boards are gone and some of the windows are broken. It's like, oh man, did she, like, get killed in a siege? And you go in there and you're like, well, no, like, most of her stuff's gone. So this isn't the zombies drove her out. She left. And so then you're sitting there going and trying to, like, figure out what the heck happened to Lady in Yellow. And it might be you go up a ways and you find the car that you would use occasionally was, like, crashed at a spot, but you don't find her there. And so you kind of get, like, this weird, almost, like, detective thing to do. And maybe you do find her and she's in southern Louisville and she's working on, like, trying to reach the spot, so she's fighting the zombies periodically and all that. You know, doing her best to survive, but she's trying to get to the spot in Louisville, but she's just doing her thing. Or maybe you find, like, you go up there and you find there's the place and there's a couple boarded up windows, there's a bunch of dead zombies and she's dead in there and you're like, oh, okay. Like, see, you'd be okay with the NPCs like, hey, I need nails. If you got nails, I could offer you canned food. Yeah, I wouldn't necessarily have a problem with that. I'd be curious how they implement it where it's not a bunch of, like, weird windows covering up your whole screen. Like, I'm not against you trading at all. I just don't want it to be a thing that you, like, you've got your 200, you know, your 200 Zomboid points because you helped me with my quest the other day. You can cash in those 200 Zomboid points. For 50 points, you can get a can of dog food. For 100 points, you can get a screwdriver. I don't want it to be something like that. I also don't want to be a thing where you just like walk up to her and, you know, you've gained 100 rep with her and you just be like, hey, follow me. And that, like, she completely ignores any and all of her own motivations and just like, okay, you've got your 100 rep points with me. I will follow you, as you walk her directly into the prison where she is immediately murdered. Like, it could be a thing that if your motivations align, that she might stay, like, you know, give you a cautious berth, but, you know, if you happen to be fighting into an area that she also wants into, then very informally, like, she might show up and start fighting the zombies there with you because she also wants to get into that place. But you wouldn't necessarily know that. You wouldn't be able to verify it. The big thing is I just don't want them to be like, this person's hostile. What happens? They see you, they beeline up to you and start shooting you. Because Project Zomboid game mechanics, it would work horrifically. And it would work really terribly if, like, they're melee and they, you know, they walk up to you at zombie speed so you have, like, chances to make decisions and all that kind of stuff. Because it's just most things. Let's see, imagine coming across a group of survivors and they want to raid the Louisville Mall for whatever reason. And you can choose to help them or go about your business. This group will assault the mall eventually without your intervention, but they'll do it sooner if they have backup. And if you're not there, maybe they lose a member too. Yeah, so I wouldn't want to be scripted as that, as what you're describing. I would be fine with them having the motivation to do that and attempting to pursue that goal. I think that part's wonderful. I think that'd be a pretty ridiculous objective for them, because that'd be a suicide mission, but I think that's fine. I wouldn't want it to be a thing where they just walk up and be like, hey, we want to go and attack the Louisville Mall. Are you going to join us? Yes, no. Like, I feel like they shouldn't be that forthcoming and verbose about it, I guess is the way I would phrase it. Like, you wouldn't necessarily know their motivations. And it could be you'll find a note that gets left behind that will kind of spell out what they're doing. Like, I'm fine with that part. Let's take what we got, drop it off. Because that to me is the thing that can make all those little notes and all that you find interesting, is that they actually were tied to stuff like that. So, for example, an NPC could be spawned in Lake Fallis. You're not in Lake Fallis, so you're blissfully unaware. And they have their motivation, and it doesn't mean behind the scenes it does all the pathfinding calculations. Like, it's not calculating the person doing all the different things to try and get around to do the stuff. It could be that's like, okay, this NPC will be in this area between days XYZ. And you know, if a certain period of time goes on, then that NPC moves on to their next location, and it rolls a dice and says, did the NPC succeed in getting to that location? Yes, no. Okay, yes, they did succeed getting to the location. And that could then lead to you having the survivor zombies, because that could be the person who was attempting to do that thing and failed. And so that gives you some interesting interactions to deal with all that. Honestly, just open the jar. I was hoping I could take the potatoes out of the jar. Oh, pour on ground will just dispose of it. I'm kind of hoping we could take the potatoes just out of the jar, but it looks like I have to eat them from the jar, which is fine. They'll give me the jar back. Oh, we had more stuff to drop in there. Yeah, no, I mean, it'd be the idea is if you're there, you can at least participate. But the big thing is you wouldn't know where they're going unless you manage to either suss it out somehow or, like, tailed them or whatever. I need to make more shelves. These ones just here at the beginning, and I've just been using them. But I genuinely need more shelves. Yeah, so you already read that one. Drop that on the ground for dealing with water stuff later. And the barbecue sauce I forgot about. Yeah, and that's the other thing, is you'd have to be careful to not give the NPC, like, if you make the NPCs too dumb, the zombies just roll over them, and that's not interesting. But at the same time, if you make them too strong, you know, then you get into the weirdness of, like, the player using them as, like, a human shield to, like, clear the zombies for them, like, drag zombies to them or whatever. So there's definitely a balance that they gotta work on there. That'll be a very tricky thing to deal with. That to me is less of the concern, because that's those ones that like, in reality, what it'll probably be. Alright, so that's a duplicate. What'll probably end up being in reality is just the idea that, okay, all the rest I can pop out. Is most likely, on your default, like, apocalypse settings, they'll be balanced to be reasonably able to keep themselves alive. But then the moment you go to a higher difficulty or whatever, like more zombies, they just pretty much fall over flat and die. Okay, so this is a duplicate, so I'm just going to go ahead and drop this over by here for kindling. Put the trophy there. What happened to the black truck? I still have it. It's pretty badly damaged, though. I have not been the most careful with it, and it's not a happy truck right now. It's a very low-quality truck, so it's probably something I'm not going to worry about fixing up too much. Most likely, I'll actually strip parts on it for other vehicles. But yeah. No, I was just doing a lot of trips to bring, like, the cows and everything here, and over time, it just took, like, a little bit of damage here, a little bit of damage here, a little bit of damage here, because the zombies get moved around a lot by the helicopters, and then me not wanting to fight in the dark and dealing with all that. Okay. One thing that would be good is maybe grab one of those ice cream freezers and get rid of that thing. I gotta check to see if they got rebalanced. But, those industrial freezers, generally speaking, I always found the ice cream freezers to be better. Okay. So, we're looking pretty good with all this. The cows and all that are still in their area. I'm lying. These cows have left their area. So get back over here. How's the blacksmith thing going? I need nails. Oh, right. We can work on that. That's something we could do. Because, like, we're in the situation, it's too late in the day for me to bother to go out for, like, another adventure. So what I'm best off doing is working on some of the base stuff. So what I can do is if I grab a saw, we can potentially go into one of these rooms, find a room that has crap we don't care about to take apart. Because I need a nail and I need a couple of planks. The planks are easy. The planks are no problem. The nails are a little bit more involved. And nothing I want to take apart here just now. So one of the other things is I can actually take apart some of the walls. I don't think those will give me nails. I think those give me screws. So one thing I can actually do is all these walls can actually be disassembled. All the walls that are the wood style walls. The plaster walls, you need a sledgehammer. So, like, interesting things I could do is if I wanted, I could take down this wall to make this extended farther that way. I don't think I will. I could also take apart this wall to open this whole area up too. And all the wall going into the kitchen, I can make that a big open space. The bummer is these ones are a mix of the two. How's the run going? It's going good. I can open up this wall to connect that. I won't be able to remove that wall though. You can open up the restrooms. You can open part of these break rooms. The big problem is deciding, like, okay, but what do I, like, if I do that, what do I actually want to open up? Unfortunately, all of these bedrooms have, like, one spot I can open up, but not more. Keep going upstairs, see if maybe there's something that'll pop out as something I want to take apart. No, they're all pretty samey. Yeah, we'll go to like little bungalows. So I don't like disassembling a lot of stuff to get my materials. I don't like, generally speaking in Project Zomboid, I don't like quote-unquote wrecking my world. Where I've removed a bunch of stuff and, you know, it's just kind of a mess now. Well, let's run down here. And I could disassemble some of the furniture I don't care about as much here. Is your pet horde still there? No. The next time I opened the game, they were just gone. It was pretty disappointing. No progress on the wall today? Oh no. For the record, we spent about 7 hours of the stream playing The Long Dark Episode 2. And then when we finished that, we switched over to Project Zomboid. We've been starting Sundays with The Long Dark until we get through all 4 episodes. Alright, nothing for that one. You know what, honestly? I'm just gonna take apart, like, this table. Because then this will look perfectly fine without it. It's not like the TV's needed for anything. And what we're trying to do is get a nail. And no, we don't get any carpentry for doing this. So literally all of that went to a waste. Next victim, I mean place we're gonna work on. Well, we got a plank. Didn't get a nail out of it. How's your carpentry skill? Absolutely terrible. Well, we got another plank. Sadly, no nails. Yeah, that's the real cause. People are all like, oh, it's Spiffo sauce. Oh, it's the government. You know what the real cause of zombie apocalypse was? The good old boob tube. When they said it was going to melt your brains, you just didn't understand. It's too late for us to save the general population. But for future populations, we got to make sure the invention is not found anywhere in our world. There we go. Let's go ahead and take that. Because that's the last nail I needed. And that should be enough that I can make the pottery table. So we can make our, to start working on making our, what's the words I'm looking for? The, crucible, that's the one. So we can make the crucible, so we can start melting down all of this junk I've been collecting to make ourselves some ingots. And then once we've got the ingots, we can make stuff with it. I have been warned I will need to empty a forest of trees to power this effort. So I should be able to go up here. Did you hear boob tube? Are you familiar with that phrase? It used to be a thing that they would say a long time ago, primarily to like parents to their kids. That basically it was complaining that TV was melting children's brains. So like all those things that like your parents might say about the internet or your phones, that exact language, that it's shortening your attention spans and that's making you dumber and yada yada yada. All of those exact same things, except TVs. Yeah, boob was a term for the internet? Yep. Like literally exact same arguments. And we used to get yelled at for being too close to the television. That is clearly going to destroy our eyes. You know, which is the exact same thing they say about the cell phones and all that. Pottery wheel. All right. Okay, so pottery wheel. Okay, so sculpt crucible requires level 1 pottery. Sculpt small crucible requires level 1 pottery. Okay, so we need to do some pottery. Some things require water and clay, and other things require just clay. Okay. So I do actually have a pretty good amount of clay. The water's a little bit more annoying, but that's also a very solvable problem. Go ahead and slam that berry. Which is poisonous, by the way. I didn't... Oh, that's a mason's trowel. I didn't pay attention to what, if any, tools I needed. So there's 57 clay. You know what's one thing I actually would love to see Product Zomboid get at some point? I would genuinely go for them reworking these. Giving us the ability to filter stuff. You know that. And I know there's the mod, I always forget the name of it. There is a mod out there that's like better loot or whatever. The problem with that one is it really murders your performance once you start getting a lot of goodies. Like, it's a cool mod, but it's as well as one you use. And like, this is really neat. And then you start filling your place up. And you're like, oh, why is my computer going full potato? I see. Alright. So, this is the part where we get lots of water, and our knees despise us. Like tabs? Yeah. Well, I would like there to be almost like a loot filter kind of thing, saying like, this item here, I don't care about. Stop showing it to me. And make it so you can go like the bottom and be like, show me the hidden things. I know I gotta look into it. My understanding is they did add a thing where we can now go and we can now go and on the loot, like the loot table is saying the items we want deleted from the world that hit the ground. My understanding is we can add stuff to that to make stuff disappear off bodies too or something like that. I gotta look into that more. Because I like the idea of being able to say, here's things I don't want to keep showing up again and again. Alright, so basically I got all of those and I just filled them with water. I don't think this needs to be clean water. I believe the tainted water works fine. Is it possible to completely empty the pools? No, any water tile you see in the game has limitless water. In case people are wondering, I've collected a little clay over time. Forbidden sourdough. Yep. To be fair, it's really high in minerals. Okay, so pottery. So you're 1 clay, you're 2 clay. Ah, okay. I don't know what we're gonna need pipe segments for, but that's something I might actually use. Oh, that's great. It's almost 5 XP each. Why did you only make 2? Oh, are you really heavy? No, why did you only make 2? Unfired. Why are you only making 2? Yeah, it should level real fast at 5 XP per instance. Alright, so we've got our first crucible to make 1 sculpt crucible, and then we will make 1 of the small crucible. And that's enough pottery for right now. So I need logs. Wait. Fire crucible. Okay, so I need logs. That's not what I want to do. It's what I did. Okay, so let's drop this on the... just on the ground. Drop you on the ground. Drop you on the ground. We can grab out our flashlight. Or charcoal? Oh, I didn't catch that. Well, if I can use charcoal as well, I do have charcoal. So now as we learn a lesson, does this work inside the building and not destroy literally everything? So crap, that's not what I need. Advanced kiln. Cool. Grab the charcoal back up. Can you use the splinters of the door? No, that one called for logs specifically, so it probably is limited to that. Primitive furnace. Oh, would you look at that? Let's, Oh, I'm gonna use so many logs to do this. Okay. We can drop that on the ground. I got 4 iron chunks. Excellent. Primitive forge. So... 4 iron chunks. So with metalworking here, at 0, I can forge an iron block out of iron chunks. And I don't know what we use the iron block for. Let's see what we have to do. So we'd use coke, and we use an iron bar quarter. Gotcha. So I'd fire an iron block then I cut the iron block down to the size I need, and then I make the thing with the cut iron block. I understand. Oh, a heading tool. Let's see, you could do like, alright, so forge forks, frying pan. Yeah, so you can make a lot of really good tools. Forge scrap metal sword is 5, and that's a steel bar half. Forge a small knife, which is an iron bar quarter. So yeah, so if I make an iron block, I can cut it into that. Alright. That's gonna take a lot of logs. That's gonna take a lot of logs. Alright, 1 second. Because I do fortunately have 4 logs just laying on the ground over here. If the heading tool is nailed for nails and other stuff, that's a good one to make sure you make. Yeah. Like right now we're doing experimentation. The lighting is so weird in this in-game day. That's also going to be the biggest problem with this, is for working on this, it's just going to be a matter of, you know your legs are broken, you got bones broken. Yeah, not just the damage mark. Character's legs should be broken with how much we're doing. The good news is that does at least give us a handful of that. Alright. So for right now, cleaning up all this stuff. Ooh, wait. Don't. Hold on just a second. I need you for the water. So let's go ahead and just take those saucepans real fast. Slide right on down here and drop those a little bit farther away. Oh, those are still in range. Make sure there's none of those in here. Alright, so let's go drop those. Let's go drop those a little bit farther away so I don't accidentally melt all the saucepans. I think I actually did melt a couple. Yeah, the steel bar into a steel trunk, that one feels like a bad move. And we have already run ourselves out of coke again. Or charcoal. Actually, we're not out, we're just low. So I got 18 units of it here. So I can make an iron bar out of the chunks. Or I can make a block. So let's see here. So for those we need the heading tool. And the heading tool requires metalworking too. Let's see what looks like it's the cheapest thing I can make right now. 4 iron chunks, 2 iron chunks, 4 iron chunks, 8 iron chunks. Okay. But the downside is that it's going to burn a charcoal no matter which I use. So I could, in theory, turn around. I'm also trying to see if there's anything here productive I can make with that, but it's looking like everything here is locked behind. Oh, the small knife? Iron bar quarter. Which means I would need to make an iron bar quarter. Yeah, let's do it. If I had more charcoal then I could make knives. So drop those on the ground, drop these on the ground. Make sure we don't have any other junk we don't want with us. Cool. But as you can see, I've been just dumping a bunch of... This seems a lot harder than making spears in build 41. Oh yeah, no, the days of fast making spears are gone. I think the idea is we're going to be making better weapons, but there's more effort involved to make them. I found making the stone knives I've been pretty happy with. Like, generally speaking. Needs to be cooked, it's fine. Thank you for the follow. Welcome to the stream. Yep, 42.3. That's the internal test build. So it is not out for everyone else yet. It'll come at some point. But it is one of those things that right now I am on the internal test build. I cannot share the patch notes with you. But the things I do know is they have said that the plumbing should be fixed in this version, and that clay is now, you can dig it up. So you can actually, like, look for a spot that's got clay and take a shovel and dig up the clay. As opposed to, you know, right now only being able to forge it. You like making the shivs and stone knives? You actually find short blades pretty nice? Yeah. No, I've been very happy with the stone knives. The stone axes are pretty good too. The stone hammers, not so great. They're very heavy for a one-handed. So while I do like short blunt weapons, the stone hammer specifically I find to not be a very good short blunt weapon. It's still fine. The spears are pretty bad right now. So with all that said though, chat, I know we've only been playing Product Zomboid for about 2 hours now. I have gone long on my stream for about 1 hour than I normally do. It was just kind of one of those things that we finished The Long Dark. It was an hour before finished episode 2 of The Long Dark. It was about an hour before I normally wrap up. It's like, I don't want to end early. What can I jump in, do a day or two? And so it's like, you know what? Product Zomboid, we can knock out a day or two. That'll be good. I will be back here tomorrow at 7 p.m. EST. Where what we're going to do is we're going to pick up where we left off in Product Zomboid and keep going. Yeah, you just joined 2 minutes ago? Yeah, it happens. So my normal hours are from 7 p.m. EST till 4 a.m. EST. And it is about to be like 5 a.m. EST, so you get the idea. So with all that said, for those over watching on YouTube, the stream will be abruptly ending and all that kind of good stuff, because I can't host out for you and everything. For those over here on Twitch, don't go anywhere, because what I'm going to head and do is I'm going to put up my ending stream screen, and we're going to go find someone for us to raid, probably play